Real good. Humidity not bad. So you're up and moving today, huh?
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
My name is Bill Harmon. I'm the program coordinator for agriculture here at Lincoln Land, which is code for I'm the old man here. I'm number 8 on seniority at the college now because I've been here 27 years. So that's old in education timeline. Want to welcome you to Lincoln Land and the Crayer Agriculture Center. I'm happy to be here and show you around this morning. Always like showing off our facility and answering any questions as we go through this. The background on this, in 2012, Lincoln Land was approached by a widow from the Blue Mound area. Her name was Eileen Crayer. Her husband Charles had passed away in a farm accident in 2009, and they had both been scholarship donors of the college for years, and she wanted to do something in his memory. And she approached our foundation with, she had a management team, an accountant, an investment broker, and a lawyer. And they said, what would you do if you had $3 million? Okay, now I got that phone call when I was at Cedar Point, which is an amusement park in northern Ohio, and I laughed. Nobody gives a community college $3 million. Well, we came up with a proposal, met with Mrs. Crayer that fall, and she liked what she heard, and so they signed the documents, and $3 million was coming our way upon her passing. Over the intervening years. Never got her to come back out again. She ended up in a retirement home here in Springfield. But her trustees said she liked what she was hearing and what she was seeing, and so that number kept growing. And so when she passed away in 2017, we met with her trustees, and they said she had decided to give her entire estate to the college, which was $18.3 million.
Woo!
And it was strictly to be used for agriculture. So much as my peers across campus would like to get a hold of it, you know, they couldn't do that. And so how it works is we get the interest off of that. It's a perpetual trust, and that works out to be I wish I had money with these investment people, because right now it's up to $20.3 million, and we've spent a lot of money, and it's still, that's where it's at.
Wow.
Just living off the interest.
Living off the interest every year. So that works out to about $500,000 a year in interest. Part of it's debt service we borrowed to build the building, and so we're paying that out of our annual disbursement, and then also we get money for operating. And that's in addition, part of the terms of the condition were that the college could never cut back on what they were spending on agriculture from that original 2018 timeline. So right now we have 4 full-time faculty, a recruiter. Well, I'm a half-time faculty, half-time administrator now, but our program's growing. We had 176 full-time students last fall. I'm pretty sure we're going to beat that this fall by the number of sections I've had to expand. The money pays for, over there by your bus, you can see some of our vehicles. So we have that car we send out with our recruiter, the bus, my livestock judging team travels that, and we use it for field trips as well. We've replaced some machinery. You might have seen that 1977 John Deere combine as your bus was making that turn. We luckily don't have to run that anymore, so I'm pretty happy about that. I've spent a lot of hours working on that machine and then trying to shell corn with it. So
Just like home.
yeah. We've got a 1971 John Deere Max Submerge. It is the most high-tech 1971 planter. I'll put on money on the state of Illinois. If Precision makes it, it's on our planter. So this money has been a game changer. It also provides scholarships for students, opportunities that we wouldn't have been able to do before. In May of this year, my recruiter and I took 30 students to Ireland for a 10-day trip to go learn about agriculture. And those kids paid $1,500 a piece. Oh, wow. Those of you who traveled overseas, you don't travel for $1,500. The Crayer gift picked up the difference, and so that meant all their airfare and their hotels, and it's a life-changing experience. Most of these kids, a lot of them never left Illinois, much less flown overseas, and see what agriculture looks like in a foreign country. 2 years ago, we went down to Dallas, Texas, to Waco and Fort Worth, Stevensville area, same thing. This coming spring, our plan is we're going to go out to the Pacific Northwest. And then 2 years from now, we'll take another overseas trip. So those are the kind of things that we think make this program really attractive for students from Central Illinois, Our district is the largest in the state, and then we also draw from the Lewis and Clark district down in Godfrey. They don't have an ag program, so all those students can come here. And then we get kids from out of district who want to come in. As long as they establish residency, they can get in-district tuition. So 2 years at the community college right now is running around $8,500, close to $9,000 for tuition total. So
For 2 years?
2 years total, right? So I know
Wow.
when you were in school, that might have covered your entire education, at least as far as tuition. But compared to what the universities charge now, we're still a bargain. So the majority of our students will transfer on. Probably a little over half, close to 2/3, will transfer. In-state schools are the most popular. We do send kids, especially livestock kids, out of state to places like A&M, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, because they can get a chance to judge livestock competitively out there. We send a few east to Purdue and Ohio State, not a lot, but most of them are staying here in Illinois. A few go down to Murray. In-state, Western is probably our most popular destination just because of the size. It's small, and for kids that came from a small rural school, and then our program's fairly condensed, and then they like that. And then the other 3 schools are all pretty close. U of I, ISU, and Southern are all pretty close as far as a destination. So that's kind of what we are. We offer, like I said, transfer degrees. We have applied science degrees for kids who want to go 2 years and go straight to work, or 1-year certificates. Those are becoming more and more popular because those jobs are paying better. And students understand that they don't need a 4-year bachelor's degree necessarily to go out and get a good job. Our precision ag program, I've got at least 3 job offers for every graduate when they leave us. When I graduated from grad school and started teaching high school, I made $28,000 a year. Now it was 1990. These kids are going to start today around 40 or 45,000 with that 2-year degree. So obviously inflation.
What would a 1-year certificate include? What would that entail?
A 1-year certificate means there's no gen ed classes, so there's no English, no science, no social studies, and no speech. It's just the selected classes out of what the 2-year degree would be that we think are most important. If they do the certificate, they can roll that into the associates if they want to. What we do find is students who come to us for that applied science 2-year and go to work degree is a pretty fair number of them decide, boy, I really wish I could go on. And Southern, of course, with the capstone program, was the very first to accept those degrees, and now Illinois State and Western do as well because they want students. U of I they're still U of I. I went to U of I, but we all know they think they're better than the rest of us. But those capstone students can go on and get that bachelor's degree if they choose to, if they want. But the trades, if some of you've tried to find an electrician, a plumber, how hard that is. The same thing's true for a custom applicator. Help that shows up every day, is on time, pass the drug test. I get a lot of parents look at me, like I'm silly when I tell them those things. If your child can do these 4 things, I guarantee him a good job. And they're like, really? Yeah, really. So, because ag's recession proof. We got to eat. So does anybody have any questions about? That's the background of what this. The Lincoln Land itself has around 7,000 full-time students in an average year, full-time, and then we have a lot of part-timers. We have 2 distinct groups. We are daytime students are those traditional college kids, 18 to the 21, but we also have a pretty full evening program out here. In ag, we have horticulture classes at night, but our ag students are mostly during the day. But then the night students are people who are working full-time or part-time and wanting to come out and continue their education.
Have any businesses that are working with you, like in co-op programs or apprenticeships or anything like that?
We have some businesses that are so involved that they're sponsoring students. So that would be companies like the FS member companies, the area, Prairie Land here, M&M down south of us, Brant Consolidated. And they sponsor those students, so they pay their tuition, and in return, those students sign a contract. They're going to work at least 2 years after graduation. We have companies, the livestock associations here in town provide internships, the equipment dealerships, especially on the technology end. They can't. There's a labor shortage, across all the disciplines out here. You can't find enough graduates, and that's a problem we're trying to address with scholarships, with better recruitment. And we get into the schools, we host students on campus. We firmly believe that if I can get a potential student here to see our facilities and meet our teachers and our other students, I've got a really good chance of signing them up.
Do you have many urban ag interests?
That's probably our number one target area. Our traditional draw has been from the rural high schools, which their populations and their enrollments are shrinking, and so that's a smaller pool for us. So we're making concerted effort. We're working with District 186, and also to a little bit lesser degree Rochester and Chatham-Glenwood over here, because none of those schools have ag programs. District 186 is going to try to offer some first-year classes this year using some of their current science teachers who have an ag endorsement. I really believe we've got to get an full-time ag program there. The one in Decatur has been really successful, the model of the Andreas Ag Academy at MacArthur and Eisenhower, and it's ridiculous that these students don't get that opportunity. And because there's good jobs. You know, as we tell potential students, I don't care if you've ever been on a farm, you know, you can learn agriculture as long as you want to work, and you can help meet the need, because we need those students. Basically, it's a hole in the donut, and we have to do a better job of addressing that. And they need those jobs too. You know, the community, Springfield, there's good paying jobs are something that we need to have more of. So. Other questions?
Scholarships available for students?
We have, from the Crayer gift itself, probably, $60,000, close to $80,000 of scholarships. Some of those are for livestock kids, some are for needs, some are for merit. And then we also have regular foundations from the college. That'd be another $50,000 at least. So of the 176 full-time students, probably 120 of them got at least some financial assistance from the college. A student who wants to come to college, we can, if finances are an issue, we can find a way to help make it more affordable. So, like I said, a little over, close to $9,000 for that 2-year degree. Probably they're getting $2,000 of that paid for, I would imagine, out of scholarships. So, to make it more accessible. As community college, we're open enrollment. You know, if you're breathing, you're in. Let's call it what it is.
The majority of your full-time students, are they full-time students and work, or are they full-time students that don't work?
I'd say probably at least a third of our students are working, not full-time. They're not working full-time jobs, but they are working at least part-time, maybe close to half. We get a lot of students who want to work part-time, especially these kids who come in maybe in the livestock industry. They're getting placed with farms in the area where they can get some more experience working maybe with a different species or the same species they were raised with. And then we have, like I said, a lot of our students do work part-time jobs here in town. I mean, if you went out to Shields, I guarantee you're going to run into one of my students any time of day, because there's that many of them that work there. Some other businesses in the area they're at, but they're a third to half of them are working, but not full time.
Got it. Thank you.
Now, Lincoln Land, what do you specialize out here? Do you just all general ag, or?
Like I said, our transfer degree is just designed to get them onto the university, and it's really they're taking the other than gen ed basic classes of English, social studies, fine arts and humanities, and some math and science. They're all going to get that crop science class, probably in animal science, ag econ. After that, it kind of depends on what they're going to major in. For that other third of our students that are in applied science degrees, our precision ag program is the most popular. That was started back in '97 to train custom applicators to go out and work for the chemical companies. That's it kind of evolved into more of the precision side, so they get their pilot's license for a drone through our classes. They'll study and take their FAA tests. Our ag business degree, which is an applied science degree, maybe they go into production, they may go into sales. The college is bringing diesel back this fall. We haven't had diesel since the mid-90s on campus, so we will have a diesel technician program. They're going to have 20 freshmen in that this fall, because there's a strong need for qualified diesel techs. Their program is not going to focus on any one aspect of the industry. It won't be just ag or trucking or construction. They're going to get experience in all three, so that if there's a slowdown in one of those industries, well, there's two others that are probably going to be hiring.
Right.
So,
and the reason I asked is, like, my son went to Kishwaukee Valley
they specialize in ag mechanization, diesel mechanics.
Right. So yeah, like I said, we don't have, and we're kind of unique among community colleges, the number of transfer students. Most colleges it's flipped. Most have more applied science than transfers. But like I said, I've been here since '97. We've always had more transfer students. I don't know if it's our location or the student body we're drawing from, but that's just how it's been. So. Okay. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
I mean, Lincoln Land is kind of scattered around Illinois. Is this the only place where you can get actually ag courses? Or?
Yeah, we do have regional centers in Jacksonville, Taylorville, and Litchfield, Beardstown, Hillsborough. But yeah, all the ag classes are here, and that's on purpose so that we can. The college would really like to have 10 students per class per section to make it cost effective. They'd really like to have 20, but 10 is the number they normally hold me to. And to get that, I have them here to get that big of a cohort. We've had requests from some of the regional centers, Litchfield and Jacksonville, but I just can't guarantee that I can put enough students over there. And then convincing one of my teachers here, otherwise I'd have to hire adjuncts. All my ag faculty are full time. My horticulture teachers are mostly people working in industry who come out and teach for us in the evening, afternoon, or evening. So landscape designers, contractors, turf managers, things like that. So.
You mentioned livestock a couple of times. How do they get the hands on, or do you have?
Well, we do have a lab you're going to see here in the building that we bring livestock into this facility for animal science classes, and then we do field trips. So, livestock here in Central Illinois is primarily swine in confinement, and so we're not going into a confinement barn with biosecurity. There's a pretty fair amount of beef, and my livestock coach is good friends with enough of the beef farmers that we can go out there. Horses is kind of fallen off. Walkers up here at Sherman had a standard bred farm. The tornado really did a number on their facilities a little over a year ago. And then there's the Palomino farm down at Auburn, Narmont's, used to be John's. And then sheep and goats. There's more goats showing up in this area all the time as populations change in the United States. Those people who are moving here from Central America, they like goat. Goat's okay.
Do they get into like the culinary or the meats or nutrition or anything like that?
Probably not from our program. We do have a culinary over in Workforce. Workforce is that big tall building that you came around the corner in, and where it hosts a lot of all the other trades that we offer. So culinary, HVAC, my shop's in there. Carpentry and construction trades, welding, diesel's going to be in there now, and then truck driver training and automotive. And we've looked at some tie-ins, maybe like to create a certificate for. We've talked about teaching them how to process carcasses and stuff over. They have the Workforce Center over there. It looks like a kitchen off of the Food Network. It's got the cameras and the lights and everything's stainless. But they're not set up to slaughter. The college, I don't know if they'd go if I asked them if I could bring in some animal stuff. Do that with. I worked in a meats lab when I was in school, but I don't know. We're not doing anything formally in that way. I guess I'll put that way.
I'm decided.
Okay, if you have other questions, feel free to ask me, but we've stood out here. I know it's nicer than it has been the last few days, but it's still warm enough. So the door on the right's locked because the storm earlier this summer tore it off. So they're still repairing it, but the one on the left works. So.
Oh, pretty wonderful.
Trader Center, we moved in here in May of 21. Originally, when you leave today, you're going to go by a 2-story brick building in the middle of the parking lot of the Millennium Center. We moved in there in 2000. We weren't real creative with the name. We had 3 classrooms there, and after the gift, we received it, and meeting with the trustees annually, they said, if you guys are really going to be a center and grow this program, you need a better space. And so this is their idea of a better space. So I would agree. This building, like I said, we broke ground on this in 2018. Through the pandemic, 2019, through the pandemic, they were able to keep working because it was mostly, it didn't get enclosed until probably the middle of 20. We had a few times when this electrician got sick, so everybody else had to wait for him to come back. But other than that, we stayed on track. It's a little over 19,000 square feet, and it cost $7.5 million. Like I said, that was borrowed from the gift, so the college itself and the taxpayers of our district put in $0 for the construction of this building. So they got a free facility. The only one in Illinois that works like that. So, you're going to see throughout the building a lot of spaces like this. It's very intentional, gathering spaces, places for kids to hang out. I call them kids, because like I said, most of our students are at 18 to 20 something. I do get a few students who come in, either job retraining. I've had a few students who roll with me, I'm 57. I've had a few show up who, it's like, hey, how's it going? So, but other than that, they're mostly young people. Research has shown that if students are, if they drive in and go to class and leave, one, they're missing out on part of the college experience, and two, they don't do as well in their studies. So we want them to be here between classes, after class, before class, hanging out, studying. All the faculty officers are around that little hallway you see right there. So that's why you're going to notice lots of places, lots of lounges. Where we worked previously, we had 2 couches in a hallway and some snack machines. So this room we're going to go in first is the simulator lab. So this is about toys. So as I said, this is a simulator lab. The idea of this room is today's students do not want to sit in the room and have lectures happen all the time. You probably didn't want to either with technology. Then wouldn't have lent itself to as much. So this allows you hands-on activities. So this is a combine simulator. I don't train farmers. I tell students, potential students that all the time. But they're all going to work with technology. So this exact same setup, that's a seat out of an S-Series combine, and it has 10 lessons. So in an ag mechanics class, they're going to do these. They do them outside of class time, but they're going to go through and get practice. And some of those students we will put in behind the wheel of an actual combine or at harvest in the fall, and hopefully see if that helped them with their learning curve. But like I said, they're all going to use technology of some kind. This is a sprayer simulator. We purchased this with the help from Lincoln Land FS. So that's based on the AGCO system. It's the same concept. Before I could put a student in a $370,000 sprayer and go out here, and even if they're just spraying water with those 110-foot booms, that's a lot of money to be risking on somebody who's never driven one. So they're going to do these lessons outside of class. Then we're going to put them in that machine and see how they do. And hopefully they'll pick it up faster. That one was that's $110,000 item. This is deer is much cheaper. When was the last time you heard anybody say that? That was only $25,000. I wish Deere would come out with a sprayer, because the John Deere platform is the sprayer of choice now for most companies. And this company's out of Peoria. They say they're working on a next version that I can slide out this and replace it with a Deere controller. So I hope they do. Behind you there, as you walked in, you saw that wooden box. It's sand and it looks like colored lights. That is an augmented reality sandbox. We use that source. And I encourage you to put your hand in there and push that around. What you've got there is that little black device on top is a camera like off a video game system, and it reads the surface of the sand. And so in a soils class, if we're talking about how soil formation happens, instead of me just talking at students, I can give them an assignment. I can say, all right, pile all that sand up and make a pile in the middle. And what you'll see is the camera reads it, and then it tells the computer behind it, that laptop, and it shoots an image on top of it. It's got topographic lines and different colors to represent different elevations. And so then when we talk about how the glaciers affected central Illinois soils, or what was left behind, so here comes a glacier, and it flattened the place out. And so when those first Europeans showed up and they tried to farm here, and then you hold your hand above it and it rains, and then okay, so what was central Illinois like when it was just the Native Americans? It was flat as wet. And so we can talk about, okay, then we'll look at drainage. All right. First drainage was, let's put it. So now we can, now the water's going to flow. So this is it catches your attention. It's also a really good recruiting tool for little kids. It's like a magnet for them. So if you want to play in the sand, feel free to. This big monitor here on the wall, which is timed out on me. I mentioned that we do precision training. You can see we've got some drones here, and there's some more cameras over there. Before I can take students outside and let them fly, and we've got drones of all different levels. So the DJI one's over there. Some of you might own one of those. You might maybe somebody have a pair. The DJI drones are less than, gosh, $500-600 I think now for some of them. And our newest drone that we got this past spring was a AGR T30, a spray drone, and it was $25 grand. But regardless of the, the cost, I can't take a student and have them, all right, here you go fly. Because I've experienced the death wall when a drone's coming down uncontrolled. It's really a disconcerting feeling. So they're going to start here. And so they'll fly on a virtual reality platform. And if they crash, you hit reset. Oh, look at this. We get started. And from there, I've got little toy drones like we purchased off Amazon, and they're about $35, but they're protected and they can fly in this building. And they'll get used to the concepts of joysticks and pitch and yaw, bouncing off things, and they're safe. And then we'll move outside and start flying some of these. So it's a progression, but like I said, it's a way to get them more comfortable, because hopefully when they get on the job, we want that time when they start work to when they're really competent and able to do everything the employer wants to be a short progression. I can't teach them everything an employer wants, but I can get them closer. We've got a welding simulator here. That's what's on this little part behind you there. I have some students in mechanics class who maybe never welded, and they're a little nervous about it. So I can put them on one of these. There's no smoke, there's no sparks, there's no heat. Some schools, especially at the secondary, the high school level, are using this because it's cheaper. You don't have to buy steel or rods or anything else. It's not the best system, because instead of looking where your weld goes, here, you're looking at that monitor there, up there, which is really, you should be learning how to look there. But you get the idea, and they can weld, and when they get to the end, they'll tell them how they did. So, like I said, some schools are using this. I use it just as practice to kind of, and also we take this to recruiting events. Kids coming through can try it out. So, just another example of how we can get technology in the hands of a student. And if these things seem like video games, that's intentional. I mean, this generation, I put quarters in a lot of machines back in the day. They sit at home, or they don't sit at home, they sit wherever and they game online. So, we go to where they're at to get the still get the information to them. So, this is also up front on purpose, because when we were showing this to potential students and their families, this room has a fair amount of wow factor. So, we want to show it all. This is the only school in Illinois that has anything like this. Once again, this is made possible because of the gift, the creator gift. So,
When they get done with the drone, do you have them at a level for licensing?
mm-hmm. We teach the FAA class in part of one of our ag classes, and then we'll take them and get them through, take them over to an approved testing center so they can take the pilot's license exam. That, they can also get their spray license with us, the general standards test through the Department of Ag. And we do have CDL training on campus. It's a separate program through the workforce. If they don't have it and they need help, we will put students through that program. Now that's 6 weeks. It goes in night class, so they're going to have some long days. But if they want to come out with their CDL, they have almost 100% pass rate on CDLs. And so, because that the employers are demanding, you can't get a job without CDL, not in our industry. So. All right, let's keep moving. On purpose, kids will gravitate towards where they want to be at this different day. So maybe it's this big butcher table. I've come through and seen kids laying on that couch, These little footstools you see, those are called logger logs. The presidency selected those, so they're actual solid pieces of wood. And she picked the carpeting too. She thought that had a dynamic feel. You can see these cases. This is our livestock team who show off their accomplishments. PAS, our ag students. PAS is a group of professional ag students. There's about 18 states that have PAS, mostly in the upper Midwest and northern United States. So we go to their national conference every year and compete. We've done fairly well. We're hosting that event here in March in Springfield. So if anybody's looking for a chance to meet some college kids from across the country, we'll be looking for some judges in about March 14th. So just let me know. I'll make sure I get your number. You saw the wood back there. You can see it here. This was a barn in Sangamon County that was taken down and then repurposed to give the building kind of a little bit more of an agricultural, rural, rustic feel. It does have a lot of natural lighting. It's a geothermal building, so the well field is right out back, and the weeds you see out back. So geothermal heating and cooling to make it. It's not LEED certified, because we didn't want to pay for that big disc on the wall, but it is green, for lack of a better term, building. Those little rooms we walk by, those are study rooms where students, if they need to have some privacy, maybe they're taking an online test or something, they get in there, or meetings, something like that. Little area out here. When the weather's warm, that doesn't get much use. And in hindsight, we kind of wish we could put a gazebo roof over the top of this to give it a little bit of shade. If you knew everything up front, then what would you do later? So that might happen somewhere down the road. Yeah, look at the polymer, yeah, that's true. That was the cheapest for gazebo. I had thought of that. Maybe I'll have to see if I can't mention that.
It'd be pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Put it up and take it down.
Take it down, okay. Not in ag. College does. In ag, we have one that's strictly 100% online, and I have a couple that are hybrid, so they do have to come in 1 day a week. Other than that, we're face to face. Because our students, they want that.
You're right.
The pandemic was.
I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
Looking at the pictures there. The percentage of girls and guys that have access.
Probably 40% female now, maybe a little higher.
20 years ago, what was it?
Oh, 15. Yeah, we've always had a pretty high number of female transfers since I've been here. Occupational degrees were not. Now it's much higher than that now. Young women wanting to get that 2-year degree to go to work. Because so many of the jobs in the industry now don't require physical strength. We've got automation and they're technology related. So, that welding I showed you, I've had too many young men who will turn in a weld and say it's good enough. And as opposed to young women who are a little more detailed, fine detail. I don't know if it's motor skills, but just a little more give a damn. And I tell those boys, I say, good enough doesn't work really in the world, in the workplace. There's right and there's wrong. That's not all of them. I shouldn't generalize, but I don't normally see that from girls. I've had girls who are like, I gotta get scared, but I've had young men be a little nervous too. I should have mentioned one of the gift, the creator gift, that $18.3 million came with a mandate. Promote ag education in Central Illinois. And that's our mission statement. That's what we're supposed to do here. So this room, when it was designed, was to help meet that. You can see it set up here. This is not a normal classroom orientation. We host a lot of meetings here on campus. So Illinois Pork Producers, Illinois Soybean Association, our new congresswoman from this area south, Nikki Brzezinski, she's held her committee, ag advisory committee meetings here. We get groups, FFA, we do a lot with Illinois FFA, they're here in Springfield, and we want them on campus as much as possible. We host state contests, some of them, that they do. Their new officers, when they were elected back in June, they're here the next day for a training, full day. So this room's designed, it's a flex space, and all of our classrooms are with this concept. These tables all roll, everything's on wheels, so it can be repurposed. Sometimes it's set up in like auditorium style or long rows. Sometimes tables go and we bring in extra seats. This room, I mentioned that we didn't think of everything up front. You see those little cameras mounted up here above. This room originally didn't have distance capabilities, but now it does, because we get groups that meet here and they have people, they want to bring in speakers from wherever they are. Well, now we can do that. So they can be sitting here and they'll watch the screen. We figured out we have to put some monitors up along these back walls and then probably on the side as well, so that everybody can see who's talking online as well. But that's the idea of this space. I mentioned the president picked out the carpet. She picked out these chairs and she said that's a good green color. I didn't tell her that's a lack of nitrogen, but they call it apple green. And then they thought students would put their bags in those little trays. No, they don't. The only thing they do sometimes is Clean their hands, so. What do you got? So, all these are whiteboard surfaces, so, if we break this up and we're doing small group activities, you know, they all got a set of boards, they got markers, they can write on that for brainstorming activities, things like that, so. Yeah, so, this is a divider wall, we can split this room off and make it into two smaller spaces if necessary. Usually we keep it large, like this.
I like the chairs.
Yeah, they're good, and they don't spin all the way around, because you'll see some of them in some other rooms where they can.
But it's a, you know, it's a place they can put their backpacks and.
That's the idea, but they just drop them on the floor. So, we're gonna go out either set of these doors, and the restrooms are right across from us if you need to use them. That's kind of a ag / 60s, maybe 70s, I don't know with that, but they're more comfortable than they look. We got a conference room here. This was the original room that had distance technology, and it still does, but but we figured out we needed more in that space. More places for kids to show off some of their awards. They did presentations. We have a little conference center over here in the little parking lot. I remember they all came in and did presentations. I'm pretty sure there was 4. So, and then our committee selected DK8 for this one. The design for this building, we submitted it for an award, and it did win back in 2021 for educational architecture. We got a big plaque in that conference center, so they were, that's cool. So they can call this an award-winning building. This room is an example of what Lincoln Land and what Education Today calls active learning. So instead of straight up rows where the instructor's in the front of the room writing on the whiteboard, and I tell students I'm a dinosaur. I learned to teach with chalk, okay, and thermofax, and the rotating drum. You know, you remember those? Yeah. Ditto machines. Yes. I started teaching with those, and so pandemic required me to learn to use PowerPoint because I still wrote things out. I use a lot of whiteboard markers. But active learning, the kids sit in these little clusters or pods, what they call them. And so every screen can be the same as the main one. So if it's a PowerPoint lecture, no matter where they're sitting, they can see it. But when they sit in this style, it's a lot easier if we give them, all right, we just covered this concept. I want you guys to look at this factor, and I want this group to look at this factor. And then they can small group right away sitting here. When we designed the building, we thought we would need it. Every one of these monitors has a computer behind it. There's a keyboard there. Most of these kids carry a laptop with them, so that function hasn't been necessary. But they can all be individuals, so they'd have a computer. They could go online and do research if they need to for whatever the question was at the time. But also it promotes interaction. So instead of just coming in and sitting and staring at the teacher and not interacting with your other students, this way they're meeting each other, which is important. It promotes a more cohesive unit. On campus, we are pretty well known for ag students are a community of students. We have an ag club on campus. It's the largest student group on campus. Last year we had probably 60 members. They have a meeting every month, a business meeting. There's always food there because ag students are like farmers. If there's food, they'll show up. So it might be a breakfast meeting with biscuits and gravy and Casey's Pizza. It might be a lunch meeting with Taco Bar, that big table you saw down in the hallway. That gets it's a buffet line a lot of times. They do recreation events once a month. So we went to Top Golf down in Chesterfield last year. We play softball, or we had a bags tournament here in May outside. Just something to give them, something to meet other students out and have fun with our campus. But that all helps promote, student success.
Well, this teaches collaboration, which
Right.
they're going to have
Right.
when they go to work.
Exactly, and a lot of our classes have a lab function, which I'll show you the labs here in a second. But in almost all of our labs are working in either small groups of 2 or 3 people. Because like you say, they need to learn how to work with others and how do I share ideas and get along and not try to be the boss and all those things. Yes, sir.
What's the breakdown here of male and female students?
We're probably 60-40 male to female. We have, Yeah, it's we have a pretty high number, and our number of non-farm students is growing all the time. We're probably down to 25% of these kids grew up on a farm, maybe 30, and of those farms, they weren't necessarily full-time farms. They might have been, you know, mom or dad, they had livestock or they had some acres, but they also had off-farm jobs. Because, you know, we all know farms are getting larger and there's fewer farmers out there. So, but yeah, girls, probably, I say in our leadership roles in our clubs are becoming more common, a lot more common. I had a young woman was president last year. My daughter was the year before that. You know, they're motivating and I'm not, it might be sexist, but it helps our program. The more young women that are here, young men tend to follow where young women are. Amazing how that works. Funny, huh? Biology is a thing.
At Carbondale, I'm not sure if I have the right stat, but I think it's moved over the line where more women than
It's
males in students, as far as I know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. Last question for me is, do you break the tables up when they're taking tests, or do you move them into another room?
No, typically I'll let them take it. The other advantage of this setup is it allows the instructor to circulate, and I walk around. So I've got a mobile, you know, if I'm using a PowerPoint lecture, I've got a mobile clicker, and so, you know, I can stand here and talk to this group, and then I can be over there. And so it's harder for a student to just sit there and go to sleep, because they never know when I'm going to stand right next to
Yeah.
them. And I've dropped books on tables, little things like that. It's like I said, I'm a dinosaur. But as far as tests like finals, I will for a semester exam. We'll go down to the big room where we were just at, and it'll have long rows, and I'll spread them out. But for a regular quiz or a test, I'm moving around in here, and I can keep an eye on them. I haven't noticed. I mean, I always warn them, you know, the person next to you knows less than you do about this, so why would you cheat off it?
Collaboration was
Yeah.
the name of the game.
And I don't do any online testing, so I'm not worried about artificial intelligence or, you know, who's behind that camera. Almost all of our classes are in person. We have one fully online economics class, and then we have some hybrid classes, but they still come in once a week at least, and they take their tests and quizzes during that. But all my classes, the few I have anymore, are face to face. And we do more testing.
What do you do to promote communication with some of our younger people? One of the things that we've noticed with our younger hires that we have in our operation is that they don't communicate very well.
Yeah.
You know, they've been grown up
Looking at phone.
looking at phones, and so they can't talk to anybody. And it's hard for them to, in front of a group, if we ask them to make a report or do something else, you know, it seems like they really struggle.
We, the college encourages us, and so we try to incorporate, so instead of just, okay, here's your speech class, it's gonna teach you how to speak in front of the group, in all their classes. So I teach ag mechanics and agronomy classes. So in ag mechanics class, everybody's gonna be assigned, when we're first starting the semester and we're talking about safety, everybody's gonna be assigned a power tool. So you're gonna do the belt sander, you're gonna do the drill press, you're gonna do a circular saw. And you're gonna get that material and that tool, and I'm gonna have to help them a little bit, get them ready, but then they're gonna do a presentation in front of the class and demonstrate how to use that tool safely. So we've done two things there. We've covered safety, and two, I've gotten that person up speaking in front of the rest of the group. And we'll do that, you know, in a sales class. They have one-on-one sales. Obviously, sales is all about communication. So they have to do mock sales presentations. In one of my crops classes, in labs, there'll be certain labs where they have to argue pro and con, like whether it's biofuels, you know, ethanol, or cover crops, things like that. Okay, so you guys are the pros and you're the cons. So here's your time, do some research and then present. So it's by incorporating that as many times as possible, at least maybe in small doses. That's how you get kids where they're more comfortable in speaking to people. So that's how we try to address it. So, our ag club meetings, I use parliamentary procedure. There is no class on campus that teaches it. I'm a former high school ag teacher, FFA advisor, so that was part of my deal. And so I require them to use it, and I'm the parliamentarian, and so I'll stop them. Well, you can't call for a vote yet, you haven't done discussion, because where else are they gonna learn those things?
Yeah.
We want them to participate in a democratic society, they need to learn what that means, you know. No, you can't talk, it's her turn right now, keep your mouth shut, then you get a chance, so.
Do you have student organizations like Collegiate FFA or those kinds of things here?
We have, like I mentioned, we have PAS, which is Professional Ag
Yeah.
Students. We are part of Collegiate Farm Bureau, and all of our members are. We are also, we have had Collegiate FFA in the past. At the community college level, Collegiate FFA doesn't do a lot. You can go to the national convention, but they're really set up for the universities. And we do a lot of the same things. I know SIU has a very active Collegiate FFA down there. Our Ag Club does a lot of those same things as far as hosting events. And I just hired my new recruiter who started in June, was Liz Bland.
She's working here?
She's working here now.
Okay.
We got her away from, she was in Carbondale.
She was our recruiter.
Yeah. She's one of my alums, and then she went to SIU and became an SIU alum, and so she was a recruiter for them. So we're really excited to have her here on staff, and so she'll be in charge of our recruiting events and lead when we go to conventions and things like that. So she's already got plans. She's gonna bring the ag ambassadors concept here. So we're gonna have students who, because all education is stealing good ideas.
Yeah.
That's right.
So,
Notice some
because,
students out of it.
when we do recruiting events, we have one here in September and another one in December, where we bring high school kids in and break them into smaller groups and have them do mini lessons led in by our students. And so, yeah, doing a little mini lesson here is great, shows them a little bit of what it is, but also interacting with a current student and asking them, do you like this place? Is it, because I'm old, what do I know? So I want them to interact with those current students. So, the more of that we can get, the better. Because our goal is to, we want to fill this building, so that would be around 300 students. So,
How many do you have now?
176 this past fall. I haven't seen numbers. That's fine. I haven't seen numbers for this fall, but I'm kind of torn because we didn't have a recruiter all last year, and it'd be really nice if, boy, our numbers were down a little bit. See, I told you we needed a recruiter. You should have done it. But if they're up, well, okay, good. But just think what we'd done if we'd had a full-time recruiter. We're doing well on enrollments. The college-wide, us and the nursing programs are the two that have nursing. It's been full everywhere because you can't find enough nurses.
Jake Rendleman introduced himself as being with John A. Logan, and I know we've got one of the largest community college systems in the country, I think in Illinois.
Right.
Do you all, with a growing number of ag programs, is there some galvanization we can do to maybe share best practices and things, like Richland's doing with you, like Lakeland's doing with ICC and other places?
We do have a group of community college ag instructors where our members get together every fall and talk. And the head at Richland is one of my former students. Jess is, and so him and I talk pretty regularly. I'm good friends with the guys at Kaskaskia, Bill and Aaron. The guys at Lakeland, I've known them for a long time. So we do try to share ideas so that we can, because Illinois has districts. For example, Iowa does not. Iowa is fair game everywhere. So for good or for bad. So in Illinois, I can't, and I won't go. My administration tells I cannot go to Lakeland's district to recruit unless it's a program we offer that they don't.
You talked about Lewis and Clark.
Right. Lewis and Clark, we can recruit out of there.
That's mostly designed with a taxing product, right?
Right, it is, exactly.
That's where that
Right.
border.
Yep. So our border extends down to Taylorville basically and just a little bit past in Christian County, but then Lakeland starts in Christian County. We go west to Meridosha and Beardstown, but Bluffs would be in John Woods. North we stop at Lincoln, that's Heartland. We get kids out of New Holland is ours. And then south, Mount Olive would be the southern end of our district where it touches Swick, but then like I say, Lewis and Clark, we get them as well. Lewis and Clark hasn't had ag since 99, something like that, so 2000. Okay, this classroom, we're gonna go see something more cool. Yeah. Okay, so this is the animal science lab, is what the building design calls it. I call this the bonus room, because this room is a flex space, it's whatever it needs to be. You can see this, our landscape construction class over the last 2 weeks of the summer semester was able to build this indoors in 75-degree temperatures opposed to out there where it was 100. So they weren't melted. We can also do this in January when it's maybe a little cooler outside. You can see our greenhouse out there. All this stuff can leave. I can put, I've got a bunch of mats over there, and we'll put panel gates in here, pipe gates, and we brought cattle in here. We've had sheep, horses, goats, and everyday hogs in the building. And we can bring them in for a live activity. I've had veterinarians come in and do demos. We can take all this stuff out. Those little mini drones I mentioned. This is a good room to learn to fly drones and bounce them off the walls. We can take all this out and put tools up. We fed about 100, 150 people here on shifts at times. The students want to put basketball hoop up there. I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe a portable one. But this is a space that, like I said, this is something, we got this idea when we were building the building. We've been to a college out in Iowa and saw one. It's like, that's a great idea. Once again, education is all about stealing ideas. These walls are reinforced. I can bring a fork or a skid loader in here, and I've taught students, how to operate machinery in tight spaces, and if they bump that, I don't have to worry about them knocking down the wall. So, this is a space that whatever bit of Maggie's trying to get in here at one time. So, it's just it's a nice space to have for flexibility. This was something else made possible by the gift. So.
In animal science, you've mentioned beef, swine, goats, and sheep, and everything. Any poultry or anything being taught?
They cover it in the class. We don't have a lot of poultry in our area. I have students who raise chickens. Where they're raising and selling eggs. Some might raise 100 broilers. That was like their SAE project in high school. But poultry production in our area, in the district at least, is very, very limited. There used to be a decal at a big facility out there in Minneapolis. That's been gone for probably 15 years or more. Energy costs are, that's why the chickens are south for the winter. Any other questions? I know you guys are on a tight schedule. I'm not trying to push you out, but I know James the one. I'm always happy to show it off. If you have grandkids, neighbors, anybody who's thinking about education, send them my way. So we never have enough.
It goes both ways. You got to promote SIU.
We'll have a career day in here in November, and SIU will be one of the universities represented. And I always tell students, when you're looking at Illinois schools, that is by far and away the most attractive campus. I mean, it's not flat like what we see in Champaign, and ISU has a lot of concrete. Carbondale is the most attractive. Where else? We have more deer here, I think, than you have down there. You got a lot of deer. We have a tremendous deer population. The test plots take a beating.
Thank you.
Thank you.